notice that every new blockbuster is a grueling 3-hour one battle after another, to the point where you just feel completely and utterly numb. But then you switch to streaming and the characters are just loudly explaining the plot to each other because the algorithm assumes you're looking at your phone. Hollywood is exhausting us, streamers are insulting us, and honestly, I didn't understand how hard it was to strike the right balance until I sat down to edit my own feature film. That'll humble you quick. I had to throw away thousands of dollars and countless hours in order to save my movie. My name is Camille Hugh and I make romantic comedies about Black women finding their happily ever afters, which everyone can enjoy. Today I want to talk about long Hollywood movies. Like, are movies getting just way out of hand? Is it getting out of control? You know, I watched one battle after another the other day because my husband basically made me. He forced me to. It's not a movie that I would, you know, put on willingly on my own accord. I wouldn't choose to watch it. Actually, I was trying to he's like, what should we watch? I was naming like a billion other things. And he's like, oh, what's the name of that movie? And I knew exactly what he was talking about. I was like, oh, you mean A Housemaid? You want to watch what? It's like, I don't want to watch that movie, anything but that movie. First of all, I don't like anxiety-inducing movies. I like feel-good movies, okay? I don't want to have nightmares. And I don't want to be on edge and, well, not in that way, right? I want to be on edge of my seat when two people are falling in love and I'm just like, oh, kiss already, you fools. But like, oh, this is a steamy, romantic scene. I'm on the edge of my seat type of thing. Not, ooh, this is like there's a crazy piano track for the entire movie and it sounds like someone's banging on the keyboard and, you know, just sensory overload. Anyway, he put it on and for the most part, it was okay. I didn't completely hate it and it kept me engaged. There was a lot going on, but I definitely caught myself thinking, this movie is going on forever. Like, it is never ending. And actually, I did notice that it had a 2-hour and 45-minute, almost 3-hour runtime before my husband put it on. And I was like, look, the runtime says 2 hours and 45 minutes. And it's almost 11 o'clock. Are you sure we want to put this on? And he was like, yeah, I'll commit to it. Of course, he fell asleep. He fell asleep almost like after an hour or something. And then we had to watch the ending the next day. And I don't fall asleep during movies. And even if it's like really, really dragging. And I rarely turn off a movie midway. I have to I'm committed, I'm locked in. And once I start watching a movie, I have to know how it ends. I'm like, maybe it'll get better. And that's not true. I turned off the Tubi movies because I was like, this is not getting better. I know it. I absolutely am sure of it. So, but usually for like Hollywood movies, movies with bigger budgets, for people who have more experience, I'm willing to give it a shot. But it was quite a long movie. There were 4 endings. Like, why? There's another ending. Oh, okay, we're going back to revisit this other ending. Spoiler alert. Like, I won't give out the spoilers. I don't know, you might want to watch it. But yeah, I think that movies should respect the audience. It should honor the audience. You want to honor the story and you want to honor the audience. So you want to tell the story that you want to tell without like having to rush through it, right? You want to say what you want to say, but then you also want to think about the audience and say, well, did I say that one thing 5 times already? Did I say, like, I think they don't, let me not belabor the point. I think they get it. And now, like, something new should be probably happening. The story should be moving forward, and it's really stagnant. So that's not honoring your audience, right? If you're not really telling a story, you're just kind of wasting our time. I want to talk today about long movies, the trend of long movies, and are movies just generally way too long? nowadays. I've made 2 feature films, and the first one, Trouble in Law, I am still in post-production on it. And one of the reasons is because when I first cut the movie, it was 2 hours and 27 minutes long. I loved it. It was everything that I filmed and everything that I thought was important to the story, everything that I wrote. And then I was getting the feedback that 2 hours and 27 minutes is too long for a romantic comedy. And I kind of knew it, like in the back of my mind, I was like, this is kind of long for a rom-com, but like I was very attached to it. It was my baby. And finally, I was convinced that I needed to cut it down even more, right? I needed to condense it and kill my darling, so to speak. And so I went to task. And I found it really, really difficult because, first of all, I think that you need time to develop your characters, especially when you're showing like a relationship forming. Like, you really need to spend time with the characters and see them falling in love to buy into the relationship. I hate movies where people fall in love in one day. You're like, how did that happen? You can't live without each other. And you just met them yesterday. It doesn't really feel authentic to me. So I like movies where they really spend the time to develop that relationship on screen. But then I also really like movies that are not just about the relationship and there are other things going on in the protagonist's lives. And we see that unfolding. So I tend to not really mind watching a longer movie, but there are some movies that can feel like they are too long and that there's superfluous things in the movie, things that have nothing to do with the plot, with the characters. It's not advancing the movie and it just feels like either gratuitous. It's like, why is this in the film? Why am I watching this? Or it's repetitive and it's like, we've already seen this. I already know this. Why am I seeing it again in a different font kind of situation? So I get that you don't want your film to be repetitive and you want to respect the audience's time and you want them to enjoy the film as much as possible. So that means that the pacing should be good and the story should keep moving along. And so I thought that I had done that, but obviously I am biased, right? So what I ended up doing was having these test screenings where a bunch of people watched the film and then I got their feedback. And if I noticed a pattern, people saying like, maybe you could cut that, I specifically told people to watch the film with that objective in mind. What scenes do you find yourself checking your watch? What scenes did you pause the movie to go get a snack? Like, you know, what scenes did you fall asleep? What time did you fall asleep? What kind of took you out of the film? And if I saw a pattern where everyone was saying the same thing or criticizing the same thing or saying like, maybe you might want to remove that, then it was a lot easier. It's like not just my opinion versus like one other person. It's like if everyone is saying this one thing isn't really hitting or it's dragging, then maybe there's something to it. And of course I want to maintain my creative, like my integrity, what I set out to say, but like you can't deny the feedback, right? So when I did that, it was much easier to go back in and cut things out. And it was so painful to cut scenes because it's like, especially when it's a cool location, and you're like, oh, but I fought so hard to get this location, or I paid so much for this location, or what have you, right? And so I ended up cutting the equivalent of 4 days of stuff that we shot, right? Like my filming could have wrapped up 4 days earlier. You know how many people that I had to pay those 4 days, how much money I could have saved that could have went towards post-production, towards marketing and distribution? Tons, right? So it's probably really important to get it right on the page to begin with so that you're not wasting money, and to get feedback right on the script. So it's kind of like doing the screenings, the test audience, but having people critique the script. That's why it's really important to get that feedback to begin with, so you don't waste your time and your money. But I do think a lot of films nowadays, they tend to run really long. I definitely thought one battle after another. There was a scene when there's like a car chase and it goes on and 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 on. I was like, what is going on here? Like, why is this taking so long? And it felt like that could have been condensed some. But then there are other films, like with The Idea of You, which is closer to my genre, romantic dramedy, that was almost 2 hours long. I think it was 1 hour and 55 minutes long. And I didn't find it to be too long, you know, I was with it. I could have done without the scenes with ex-husband and the kid, you know, just had more scenes with her and Nick falling in love. Like I was really, that's what I wanted more of actually. And like more screen time with them. So yes, there's like a fine line, I think. And there's a point about, what was his name? Matt Damon. He the other day was saying that Netflix is telling writers and directors to, you know, front load the movies with action and to repeat plot points over and over again and have a lot of exposition because people aren't fully engaged with the content that they're watching.
I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's something called second screen viewing, right? So it's a directive that's being handed out by big studios. You have to acknowledge that people are on their phones the whole time they're watching telly. So you have to simplify the plot so that they'll be able to follow along while they're browsing on their phone.
They're not completely paying attention. So you have to kind of dumb it down or repeat things, and they say that, and they have done research to come to this conclusion. But on the other hand, you have people saying they can't watch Netflix movies now because they are like this. They're just dumbing it down to the point where it's unwatchable, and then nobody is enjoying it. The people who are half scrolling, half watching aren't enjoying it. The people who are actually engaged and paying attention can't enjoy it either. So it's a strange thing. I can't do that. My husband does that. It annoys me a little bit. I'm always like, we're watching a movie, pay attention to the movie. What are you doing on your phone over there? Why the Netflix shows are being dumbed down. I decided that I was going to cut it down, not because like it has to meet this arbitrary number. It's more that I want to serve the audience in the best way possible. I want the pacing to be good. I want everything to keep you engaged. I want you to not like stop the film because you're like, this is going on and it's lost my attention. I want it to be a pleasurable viewing experience. So I don't want it to be too long, but in general, I think I support, and I'm probably a little bit biased, even though I've cut my film down to 2 hours now. It's 2 hours and 3 minutes, around there. And its time has definitely allowed me to be more objective, to be able to say, okay, yeah, I can cut straight to this. I can come in later than I wrote it and how we shot it, and we can leave earlier, you know, things like that. And there isn't like any specific number that people need to aim for. It's like you write the film, and however long it takes to tell the story, like it's however long it takes to tell the story, and every story is unique. But yeah, that's my general thought on whether films are too long nowadays. I tend to stick out a film, even if it's like a slog. You know, my sister-in-law and her husband, they were telling me that they'll go to a movie, and if they are not feeling it for whatever reason, whether it be like it's going on too long or it's dragging, they will get up and leave in the middle of the movie. And like at a movie theater that they paid for the movie, and I was like shocked. I would never do that. It's like, if I paid money to see this film, I'm gonna stick it through. You know, I remember feeling that way. We were watching like Avatar or the movie with the nuclear bomb. It's not Inception. You know the one that I'm talking about. It's like, this movie is so long, but I did pay, or more than likely my husband paid for this ticket, and we're gonna sit through this. I'm gonna try to watch it, and I never fall asleep during movies. Like, I try to respect the filmmaker's vision. You know, and a lot of times the filmmaker can be indulgent, but I try to stick it out and to give it a fair shake. But I think we could all benefit from having multiple people take a look at our scripts and cutting it from there, and then doing test screenings. I don't know if many indie filmmakers do that, but it's definitely a benefit when you can take the audience's feedback and then implement that in your cut, because you know you want it to be the best film possible. And with Trouble in Law, like, that's where I am. I'm definitely sad about the scenes that I had to cut, and you know, the lines that I had to cut. The actors, when they see the film, they'll be like, wait, I have way more lines than that. But it's like, you know, you got to keep the movie going, and you tend to want to infuse it with jokes and like witty remarks, and you have to be like, is that necessary? Is that funny enough? Things like that. You have to really ask yourself tough questions and be honest. It can be difficult to be honest, but I think it gets easier. With Squad Goals, I wrote that. That's like an 85-page, 90-page script, which is going to translate to like an hour and a half, hour and 45-minute movie. And I think it's a very tight story, and it works, you know, it really works. So we get better with practice, and especially if you're open to feedback. What do you think? Do you think that Hollywood movies are too long nowadays? Are they out of hand? Like, can they be shorter? Like, should they be shorter? Do you not care? Would you watch a 2-hour and 27-minute long romantic comedy? Maybe I'll have to release the director's cut for those people who really want to lock in and see the full spectrum, where I really wanted to originally say. And it's mainly just a lot of jokes that I cut and things that it's okay. Looking back, they didn't need to be there. All right, fine. I admit. But what I'm interested to know, if some of your favorite movies, are they long? Are they short? Is that something that you take into account when you're going to watch a film? How long it is? Do you not care? Do you get up and leave in the middle of movies like my crazy in-laws? I'll tell them, I'm like, you don't stay for the entire movie that you paid $37 for? That's insane, because you know, movie tickets aren't cheap nowadays. Date night at a movie theater is not a cheap night out. So to get up midway, I mean, and they said before they would like really, really push through and watch it, but it's like they were torturing themselves. And I don't want my audience to feel like they're being tortured. So that is why I went back and with a fine-tooth comb, I'm looking and seeing what needs to be here, what needs to go, because I don't want it to be a painful experience for my audience. I want you to have fun. I want you to enjoy every second of it. And actually, when it ends, I want you to be like, I wish there were more. I don't want it to end. Like, I love movies that make me feel that way. And so that's what I aspire to do with my films. But I've definitely seen the movies that are way too long. And I wish that more filmmakers, especially indie filmmakers, would solicit the opinions of others, of audiences. And if you want to be a test audience, I want to put like together a community. I want to start a Facebook group, right, for test audiences. People who would commit to watching these indie films, right, independent filmmakers, and giving feedback. And you can say like whatever genre you prefer, so that you're not watching something that's totally out of your wheelhouse and things like, I don't want to sit down and really watch a sci-fi movie, but like, and then give you constructive criticism. Not everyone is a professional screenwriter, but your opinion matters. You know what was boring and what was fun, and you might not know why something hit, but you can say, I like this about it and I didn't like this, and whatever. So if you could commit to giving feedback you can watch these movies for free. And I suppose like in a lot of these indie films, you can watch them for free anyway. But if you just are a movie buff and you want to help out some indie filmmakers, I'm gonna start this Facebook group. You just love movies. So look for the link in the below. That is probably all I have to say about this topic for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you are not subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button. And of course, if you want to keep up with me and my films, head on over to sitinpretty.com/screenings so that you can watch Trouble in Law and Squad Goals when it is released. You'll be happy to know that I'm doing everything in my power to make this film really enjoyable for you, and I want to add something to the genre. I want it to be good, right? And so also because when it's good, more people are likely to tell other people and more people are likely to see it. And that is the goal. I want as many people as possible to watch my films and to be impacted by it. And yeah, that is the goal. So like, subscribe, share, and leave your comments down below. I love reading your comments. Tell me whether you think movies nowadays are way too long, if they're not long enough, if you don't really care how long they are, as long as the story is good, you'll watch. And until the next time, bye.